Pnawn da, Cynadledd. Ac mae'n bleser i fod yma efo chi y prawn yma ac i gael aner chi fel hyn am y tro cyntaf. Mae'r Cynadledd bob amser yn achlysur arbennig oherwydd mae'n dod â ni gyd at ein gilydd. Arweinyddiaeth y blaid, aelodau etholedig a swyddogion a'n haelodau llawr gwlad. Mae'n dod â ni ein gilydd fel hyn yn arbennig o bwysig i Blaid Cymru, oherwydd nid Plaid Cymru yn unig gyda ni, ond ni ydy plaid cymunedau Cymru. Yn wahanol i bleidiau gwleidyddol eraill, da ni ddim yn mhocedi cwmnïau rhyngwladol anferth sy'n prynu ein sylw. Yn lle hynny, da ni ddibynnu'n drwm arnoch chi, ein byddin ymroddedig o wirfoddolwyr, ymgyrchwyr ac aelodau sy'n gweithio'n ddiflino ar ein rhan yn ein cymunedau. Nid dim ond yn ystod cyfnod etholiad, ond drwy gydol y flwyddyn, bob blwyddyn. A hoffwn ddiolch i bob un ohonoch chi o wleidydd calon am yr hyn rydych chi'n ei wneud dros y blaid hon a rydych chi'n ei wneud dros Gymru. Hebddoch chi... Yeah. Hebddoch chi fydde llais pobl gyffredin ar hyd a lled Cymru ddim yn cael ei amlygu. Hebddoch chi fydde yn cymunedau ni ddim yn gwybod fod yna ffordd well, wahanol o wneud pethau yng Nghymru. A hebddoch chi fydde annibyniaeth ddim yn bwnc pwysig ar yr agenda yng Nghymru yn 2023. Ond gyda chi, dwi'n hyderus y byddwn ni'n gallu sicrhau Cymru decach, wirddach ac annibynnol yn rhydd o'r wladwriaeth Brydeinig bwdwr. As you know, being an active member of Plaid Cymru means that you get a top degree in street politics from the University of Life, and it plugs you deeper into your local community, even if you weren't involved before. These qualities are written inside our members, similar to a stick of Aberystwyth rock. This is what makes our activists, our campaigners, and our councillors even more special. Long before I became a Senedd member, I remember knocking doors throughout Caerphilly County Borough during the 2017 local elections. The overwhelming majority of people are friendly on the campaign trail. Of course, you get one or two that aren't, but the least said about Tory voters, the better. But you'll know as well as I do the sense of satisfaction that you get when somebody tells you for the first time, we're going to vote Plaid Cymru. It's priceless. The experience I got on Penrhewr Trecennydd and Enniglyn Community Council was a valuable grounding in politics before I entered the Senedd. Some people, not in our party I'm glad to say, may turn their noses up at community or town councils, but I found that they teach you some incredibly important lessons about politics. They teach you about what makes people tick. They teach you about what it takes to be part of a community. And it teaches you about how to get the little important things done. And those important things are the little things, like getting a dropped curb sorted, like getting a bin installed at the local park, or arranging that Santa gets to travel the streets of the ward on the back of his sleigh in the run-up to Christmas, even when it bears a striking resemblance to Lindsay Whittle. The hyper-local nature of community council politics means they are often the first to hear of news in the local area, and therefore the first person to offer help to those in need. And if a community councillor has delusions of grandeur or acts like a prima donna, being plugged into that community means that you're never far from somebody who will bring you down to size. Given my background in local politics, I was delighted to be given the privilege of holding the local government portfolio following the cabinet reshuffle earlier this year. A diolch yn fawr i'r rhyn am roi'r cyfle i mi gael gweithio'n agosach efo'n cynghorwyr a'n ymgyrchwyr lleol. Mae'n fraint i gael gwneud. In the few months I've held the brief, I've travelled around the country speaking to Plaid councillors about the work that they do and the challenges that they face. Hearing about the work they do each and every day to make our communities a better place has been inspiring. I've also been gathering anecdotes from colleagues about how our councillors have gone that extra mile. Here in Ceredigion, the Plaid-controlled local authority led the way during the coronavirus pandemic by setting up their own contact tracing system. Council staff were also in regular contact with 2,500 vulnerable citizens in the county to make sure that they had everything they need in isolation. The leadership and the quick thinking of this Plaid Cymru local authority undoubtedly saved lives. This typifies what Plaid Cymru can do in power, and I hear similar stories from our councillors from all over Wales. Like the food share scheme that started in Sian Gwenllian's office, which works with supermarkets to give food to those in need, food that would otherwise be thrown away. This has not only helped thousands of families, but has also inspired others to do the same, like the one set up in the Rhondda by Leanne Wood, again helping thousands of families, and like the one in Bangor is still running to this day, thanks to the hard work of a few committed and industrious Plaid Cymru members. I've heard of similar schemes all over the country, replicating and adapting the same ideas, tailoring them to their own communities. Another example of ways in which we support our communities, and one I had the privilege to visit during the summer with Councillor Steve Skivens, was the Scummer Play Scheme run and financed by the Plaid Cymru Control Penrell, Trecennydd and Enniglyn Community Council, part of the Caerphilly Basin. It was established in the 1980s by Plaid Cymru Councillor Owen Griffiths, whose aim was to support cash-strapped local families in the post-miners' strike era of Maggie Thatcher's government. Those were hard times for our communities, and I'm proud that the community came up with something like this to help families out. I'm also proud to say that apart from the 2020, when we were under lockdown, the scheme has been run unbroken for the last 37 years. Yes, it deserves a clap. It's hard to measure the contribution that these various initiatives with huge Plaid Cymru presence have made to their respective communities. Examples like this are one of many, many reasons why I am proud to belong to this party. We will need every ounce of that work ethic, resolve and compassion in the coming years because they will be incredibly challenging. This party being the change it wants to see in our community, which is no more striking than when it happens in so-called Labour strongholds like our Valleys communities. With this in mind, I'm pleased to tell conference that there will be a Valleys conference in Merthyr later this autumn. The idea is to bring together our councillors, members and activists across the South Wales Valleys under one roof so we can craft the ideas and policies that are tailor-made for the former coalfields in the south of the country. I may not sound like I'm from the south, but that is where my heart is after moving here over 20 years ago. One thing I've learned about the Valleys communities in the 2 decades I've lived here is that resilience, solidarity, and kindness are in abundance. Our people are our greatest resource, and I know that the best solutions to the problems we face will come from within. I hope that the suggestions we put forward from the Valleys Conference will play a big part in our Senedd manifesto in 2026. We need to demonstrate to the people of Wales that we are the real alternative to the stale old, same old status quo that has dominated the political landscape of Cymru for a century. We need to demonstrate that we speak to their problems with homegrown, sensible solutions. We need to demonstrate that our party will work with our communities, not impose our will on the community. As a party, we must come together like never before because our country needs a strong Plaid Cymru. Following years of decline under Tory austerity, which, lest we forget, was endorsed by the Labour Party in opposition, local authority budgets have been cut to the bone. Many services have disappeared, even those services that have survived because they are statutory have been diminished considerably. Make no mistake, conference, there are tough times for our councils, our councillors and our communities. But I'm confident, however, that we will have the resolve and the leadership to navigate through the choppy waters that still await us. By demonstrating our capability in local government, we show what is possible if the electorate of Wales back us in a national election. You see, conference, I want to get to the point where we put to our nation a crucial big question of whether they want to remain shackled to a political system that cares little for our country, or whether they want to chart a new course that puts us in charge of our own destiny. That is a big question to put to the people of Wales. When we get to that point, we need the people of Wales to have the confidence that a future in an independent Wales will be better, fairer and more democratic than the chaotic, corrupt and uncaring alternative we have seen in recent years. I'm convinced that a big part of winning hearts and minds is through our record in local government. We can do this by showing that we will lead where others will shirk responsibility and scrutiny. We can do this by showing that we have the ambition where others settle for the status quo. And we can do this, as Gandhi said, by being the change we want to see in our communities. For me, our councillors, our members and our activists are key to an independent Wales. They always have been. So please let me know how I can help you in your amazing work that you already do. Allow me and the Senedd team to highlight your hard work for the people you represent. Because together, we can build a stronger, resilient communities. We can build a stronger, resilient Plaid Cymru. And we can build a stronger, resilient, independent Wales. Diolch yn fawr.